Yankees won't be playing in Oklahoma City anytime soon, and neither will the Dallas Cowboys. But the NBA, it's sending its marquee act to town tonight. From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is Bringing the Thunder with Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, the Thunder is bringing the Boston Celtics to the Ford Center tonight. The Boston Celtics with all the rings, including one last year. Let me ask you this. Is this the game of the season if you're a basketball fan in Oklahoma City?
If you're a basketball fan in Oklahoma City, no. The game of the year, I think, is going to be the 21st against the Hornets. I mean, that's going to be the marquee game. But if you're just an average basketball fan, or not an average, if you're just an NBA fan, then yes, this is a game. I mean, there's no bigger game than when the defending champions come into your building. And when they have three superstars, potential Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famers in Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
The Celtics are coming off a big win last night in Houston. What impact will that have for an experienced championship team of back-to-back nights?
You know, I think that's going to actually help Oklahoma City because Boston's on a 3-game road trip. They started in Indiana and lost in Indiana to the Pacers. They went to Houston last night and got a big win over a team many feel is a championship contending team. If they'd have lost that game, Oklahoma City, would have probably been in trouble tonight against the Celtics because you don't want to go on a road trip and go 0-3 if you're a championship team. So I think the fact that they went into Houston, beat the Rockets, pretty much controlled it the whole game. It was nip and tuck, but they controlled it throughout the whole game. I think that's going to help Oklahoma City.
I actually think they're in trouble anyway. They're playing the defending champions. What was the Celtics' road record last year? You quoted
31-10.
31-10. This is not a team that's going to sleep on a back-to-back, is it? I mean, that's not the MO of this franchise or this team, especially under KG.
You wouldn't think they would, but they are a year older. I mean, they did lose some pieces. It's early in the season. It's not as important for them to win these games as it is maybe down the line. I mean, when you're a championship team, what we saw out of the Spurs, championship teams sort of rest their players for the regular season. We don't know yet if the Boston Celtics are going to do that and prepare for the postseason, but if they do, I still think that can help Oklahoma City tonight.
You're right. One of the times the Hornets won up here the first year, the Spurs came up here for a game off a back-to-back, and they got them. And the Celtics, they lost, a pretty embarrassing loss in Indiana last week. At one point, the Pacers were up 25, and nobody's mistaken the Pacers for a really good team. So, the Celtics really never in it. They came out with energy. Now let's talk about the Thunder. They're coming off a win at home against Minnesota in a game they played like a desperate team, which is good for them. Played with a lot of energy. The night before, they played at Houston and a good half. What out of those two games can the Thunder build off of?
I think what you saw most is guys trying to learn how to play alongside Kevin Durant. I mean, you saw Nick Collison with a double-double in that Minnesota game. You saw Russell Westbrook, use his defense to get his team back in it. I think guys are showing how they can contribute to this team, maybe not with scoring, but in other ways. And I think if they can build on that and take that into tonight's game against Boston, Friday against Utah, and on down the season, I think they'll be in good shape.
Some of the power forwards, the position the Thunder's deepest at, really, were nicked up in the preseason. Chris Wilcox,
Nick Collison
and Joe Smith, especially. We didn't get to see a lot of those guys. Well, we saw a lot more of them Saturday night, and then we saw a whole bunch of them on Sunday against Minnesota. Probably the best outing of the three for any of the power forwards, which brings me to my next question. Which of those three guys gets the assignment today? Hey, you get to guard KG, probably alone in the post.
I think it starts off with Nick Collison. He's the starting power forward. Johan Petro will probably be on Kendrick Perkins, the starting center for the Celtics. So Nick Collison is going to have his hands full. I think he's up for the task. Nick Collison is a guy who's guarded Yao Ming, Tim Duncan. He played center for this team last year, so he's used to playing against taller, stronger, tougher opponents, which KG certainly is. And then I think Chris Wilcox will come off the bench and Joe Smith. I think that's a good little rotation of power forwards that you have to sort of try to contain KG tonight.
And the most experienced of those, as we've talked about, is Joe Smith, who saw Kevin Garnett 7 times in a 7-game series when the Cavs and the Celtics met in Eastern Conference Finals. Joe in the 3 Cavs wins. Joe played well, 12 points, 6 assists, averaged about 24 minutes. In the 4 losses, didn't get on the court as much, didn't play as well. You could see Joe Smith a lot in that role. Then, but here's another question that's been raised. You saw in the first half in Houston, you saw in the entire game against the Timberwolves. This team's better when they're playing fast. Can they play fast tonight?
You know, they have to get stops. I was sort of shocked at how much they couldn't stop Minnesota Sunday night. I mean, Minnesota was shooting about 50-something% midway through the game, and I'm thinking you have to get a stop. And in order to run, you have to get defensive stops. And until this team can do that, then I think they're going to have trouble running. When they do that, I mean, they look good. They did it against Houston when they pushed it against Yao Ming. That led to sort of a solid first half in Houston where they were only down 1 on the road. So, you know, if they continue to get stops, I think they can push the ball. And Earl Watson has shown that he's good at pushing the ball this year.
They did, and they pushed the ball sometimes off made baskets. One of the questions, though, about getting stops, though, can they guard Kevin Garnett by himself in the post?
Yeah, again,
one-on-one.
With Nick Collison, I think he'll give a valiant effort. Joe Smith and Chris Wilcox, I think that's a good 3-man rotation that you can throw at KG. Now, KG is good enough to where he's going to get his regardless of what you do. I mean, you could double, triple team him. He's still going to get his. You can't let everybody else beat you. You got to sort of pick your poison tonight. I think they can guard him one-on-one, but he's going to get his still.
Well, if they guard him one-on-one, that means that you can play the Celtics 3-point shooters, and they can put 3 guys around the perimeter and kill you out there. They got tons of shooters. But it also seems to me, as I reflect on this in our preseason coverage, that you picked this game to be the Thunder's biggest win of the season.
I did.
You sticking with that?
I have to. You know, I can't backtrack now.
2 weeks into the season.
Well, that's right. I think what's going to help them is that the Boston Celtics are coming off of a back-to-back. They played in Houston last night. It was a tough, physical game. There is room for a little bit of a letdown tonight. They're going to come in and they're not going to be surprised at how loud this crowd is going to be tonight. You know, they experienced it with the Hornets, but I think that crowd will still help a young Thunder team. The fact that they are, you know, this is only going to be their 4th game. I don't think they're in midseason form, even though they won the championship last year. I still think that they have new pieces. James Posey's not there. Tony Allen is being thrown into the mix a lot more. I think they have new additions that they have to sort of build chemistry with and develop over time. I don't think that they're going to be – we're not going to see the Boston Celtics team tonight that we're going to see in February, March. So I think that's going to help Oklahoma City.
Listen, Darnell, thanks for all that analysis, and thank you for watching Bring the Thunder with Darnell Mayberry. Follow all the news and analysis on the Thunder and the NBA every day on newsok.com, newsok.tv, and in the New Look Oklahoma. And to continue the discussion on, go to Oklahoma's new NBA fan site, thundermadness.com.